This program deals with devil worship and satanic beliefs. It contains explicit scenes and descriptions of violent crimes and rituals.
Americans are asking, who attacked our country?
You have declared a subliminal jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
Everything pertaining to what's happening has never come to the surface. The world will never know the true facts of what occurred, my motives.
And night fell on a different world.
And Iblis is thinking, I should be getting this position, not Adam, and this guy is created from dirt.
And how does the army feel about you being head of the temple of Set?
And the conspiracy theorists can say what they will, but
I want you to give me power over Adam, and I want you to give me soldiers and minions and all of these things.
The people have so much to gain and have such an imperial motive for putting me in a position I'm in. We'll never let the true facts come aboard to the world.
And I want you to be able to give me the ability to whisper into the hearts of mankind.
And who was the grotto leader? Don't remember the name. You don't remember the name of a person who involved you in murder?
now these people are in very high positions, yeah.
Do you want to read the next one?
Sure. Okay. What are your thoughts on things like cold fusion? Do you think it was an elaborate hoax or suppressed technology? What are your thoughts on suppressed technology in general? I don't know. It's an interesting question. I guess I really don't know. I mean, I could definitely believe that cold fusion could be... I definitely believe that cold fusion, if someone invented it, it could be suppressed. I think that like a who killed the electric car type of dynamic could definitely come into play with cold fusion. But did anyone ever actually arrive at it? I don't know. It's interesting because I've been hearing my dad weirdly mentioned to me, who knows, again, my dad is if I were an emotionally damaged Democrat millennial, then I probably would have would be looking to Tim Walz as my lost father, because my dad is totally all up in this nonsense. And he was saying something to me about how we don't need to worry about the climate, because in a couple of years we're gonna have cold fusion, something like that, we're gonna capture the energy of the sun, and we're just gonna have free energy, and it's gonna be amazing, and everything's fine. Or something, and I'm where the hell did you hear that?
It's an optimistic thing,
but I don't know. It's a little bit of a digression, but yeah, I don't know. I guess it sounded kind of like a cold fusion type of thing, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know. What's your read on that?
This has been around for a while. I feel like I kind of was curious about it many years ago. I'd kind of read about it and be like, "Ooh, cold fusion," but I think. I don't know. I mean, full disclaimer, not a scientist or a scientific expert, but yeah, I guess what's the big problem with it is that you really can't scale it, or it's incredibly difficult to scale, or is there a core scientific debate over whether it's even possible on any level, right?
Yeah.
I'm flipping through this Wired article that was posted, and these guys in the late 80s who claimed to have created it.
I remember this. Yeah, I vaguely remember seeing that before. But yeah, I guess it's no one's ever been able to reproduce claims of cold fusion. That's the problem. Is that they weren't able to replicate it at all.
Interesting. MIT ended up pouring cold water on it. Yeah. And let's not forget Brian De Palma's eccentric inventor brother, who claimed to create a perpetual motion machine or something, and then died mysteriously in the 90s. And I don't know. That was a whole thing too, where he published a bunch of stuff on the internet where he's I totally created this, but the powers that be are they're not willing to accept it. And then I don't know if he fell off a cliff or crashed his car or something. Wasn't he in Australia or New Zealand or something like that? I forget. But interesting. The EPRI. There is some SRI International. There's a reference here that SRI International was quietly sponsoring cold fusion research. It looks like I'm not sure when exactly this was, but maybe in the 1980s. Yeah, this is about Pons and Fleischmann.
Remember there was like that thing a little while ago that was like we found a new like metal or something, or some like new type of thing that's gonna let like everything just go like super fast, like it's gonna let trains travel super, something like that. Remember it was like this kind of weird new discovery that like everyone was hyping up. I've really forgotten what it was now.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that. I do remember also like related to this, people talking about thorium reactors and making kind of similar claims about like if you could achieve like fusion with thorium, because I guess I forget exactly why like thorium, it has advantages compared to thorium's long-term potential in nuclear energy. This actually might be a little more like attainable, I guess, because they are at like a research stage. So yeah, it just says here from the Wikipedia, thorium-based nuclear power generation is fueled primarily by the nuclear fission of the isotope uranium-233 produced from the fertile element thorium. A thorium fuel cycle can offer several potential advantages over a uranium cycle, including the much greater abundance of thorium found on Earth, superior physical and nuclear fuel properties, and reduced nuclear waste production. One advantage of thorium fuel is its low weaponization potential. It is difficult to weaponize the uranium-233 that is bred in the reactor. Plutonium-239 is produced at much lower levels and can be consumed in thorium reactors. So I guess there was like there was a 3-decade shutdown for whatever reason of like research into thorium reactors. But they say between 1999 and 2022, the number of operational thorium reactors in the world has risen from 0 to a handful of research reactors to commercial plans for producing full-scale thorium-based reactors for use as power plants on a national scale. I wonder where. Maybe, China? Maybe China? Maybe China. I'm looking at 2019 here. I guess the experimental prototype molten salt reactor, or MSR, is something the U.S. was experimenting on back in the 60s at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. But it looks like China maybe has already built one of these. Interesting. And the IAEA posted something in March of last year, thorium's long-term potential in nuclear energy, new IAEA analysis. So, okay, yeah, in August 2021, they say, China announced the completion of its first experimental thorium-based nuclear reactor built in the middle of the Gobi Desert in the country's north. Oh, we've been there. The reactor over the next few years will undergo, it's beautiful out there. It'll undergo testing. If the experiment proves successful, Beijing plans to construct another reactor potentially capable of generating electricity for more than 100,000 homes. Wow, so they say China's not alone in its thorium research. In the past, India, Japan, the UK, the US, and other countries have demonstrated enthusiasm for research into the possible application of thorium in nuclear power. Yeah, the big advantage is that it's like abundant, much more abundant than uranium. I guess there are challenges. It's only slightly radioactive, so I think it's like safer, basically, than, you wouldn't have as much of a threat of like a 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl or Fukushima situation with thorium. And it can't be weaponized. Wow, it sounds like, let's go. I'm thorium pilled already. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I always thought it sounded kind of like a good idea.
I remember what I was thinking of. I was thinking of the room temperature superconductor. Do you remember this?
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe.
South Korean scientists claim to have created a room temperature superconductor.
I
that
do.
Could
and then this was
everything from computing to transport. Yeah.
This ended up not being true, right?
I have to verify that now because I just took all this time trying to remember what I was even thinking of. So now, I feel like it wasn't
like a lot
true
of
because I haven't heard anything
movement
about it since this first became a thing, which was like months and months ago.
I feel like it was like a preprint or like a research paper was going to come out that said they had like achieved this, and then everyone started like betting on like the stock market on like companies that were going to skyrocket, and then it kind of came out that like
this is another big hoax. Like I got to use archive.ph or something, but yeah, superconductivity scandal: the inside story of deception in a rising stars physics lab. Renga Diaz claimed to have discovered the first room temperature superconductors, but the work was later retracted, and an investigation by Nature's new team reveals new details about what happened and how institutions missed the red flags.
Wow,
Is the
this
same
is
thing as
crazy.
South
The
Korean, so,
the U.S. built an experimental prototype molten salt reactor with thorium in 1968. Like, and they are sorry, 1965 to 69. It operated critical for roughly 15,000 hours. But then in 1973, the U.S. government settled on uranium technology and largely discontinued thorium-related nuclear research. The reasons were that uranium-fueled reactors were more efficient, the research was proven, and thorium's breeding ratio was thought insufficient to produce enough fuel to support development of a commercial nuclear industry. As Moore and Teller later wrote, the competition came down to a liquid metal fast breeder reactor on the uranium-plutonium cycle and a thermal reactor on the thorium U-233 cycle, the molten salt breeder reactor. The LMFBR had a larger breeding rate and won the competition. In their opinion, the decision to stop development of thorium reactors, at least as a backup option, quote, was an excusable mistake. I don't know. That's crazy. I guess the director at Oak Ridge, Alvin Weinberg, lost his job because he was championing development of the safer thorium reactors. He said Congressman Chet Hollifield was clearly exasperated with me, and he finally blurted out, "Alvin, if you are concerned about the safety of reactors, then I think it may be time for you to leave nuclear energy." I was speechless, but it was apparent to me that my style, my attitude, and my perception of the future were no longer in tune with the powers within the AEC. No. Martin explains that Weinberg's unwillingness to sacrifice potentially safe nuclear power for the benefit of military uses forced him to retire. Quote, Weinberg realized that you could use thorium in an entirely new kind of reactor, one that would have zero risk of meltdown. His team built a working reactor, and he spent the rest of his 18-year tenure trying to make thorium the heart of the nation's atomic power effort. He failed. Uranium reactors had already been established, and Hyman Rickover, de facto head of the U.S. nuclear program, wanted the plutonium from uranium-powered nuclear plants to make bombs. Increasingly shunted aside, Weinberg was finally forced out in 1973. Wow, no. So we could have had it all. We actually could have had it all, like decades ago. But because they wanted to build fucking nuclear missiles during the Cold War, they buried it. They just pulled the plug on it. Yeah, this is interesting. I guess former NASA scientist and thorium expert Kirk Sorensen says that, quote, thorium was the alternative path that was not taken. According to Sorensen, during a documentary interview, he states that if the U.S. had not discontinued its research in 1974, it could have, quote, probably achieved energy independence by around 2000.
Wow.
Oh my God. So all this shit we're talking about now with like the environment and fossil fuels and even like is Tesla going to save us? And like electric cars are finally being allowed. But like, why doesn't anybody talk about the thorium? What the fuck? Like, I get that.
It was weird.
People,
Another element of the Trump-Elon conversation was like, it really came through like how Trump is like fixated with like nuclear, like bombs. Like he's fixated with like a nuclear war happening. Which is interesting.
He does like the kind of like remark darkly upon it of like, and yeah, that's going to be the worst thing. Nobody wants that, you know. And
everyone's he was like everyone's talking about the climate, but no one's talking about nuclear because that's the real thing, you know. Like, and yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like rule out that like we could see like a nuclear exchange happen, like even in our own lifetimes. Like, it's definitely not impossible. We were just talking about the possibility of it. But or not even an exchange, like the use of a weapon, you know, not necessarily retaliated against. But yeah, it's interesting. Right. It was weird in that conversation how Elon, like, of course, Elon, as I said on Twitter, it's just like unbelievable that someone who has so much power and so much wealth would like suck up to anyone that much. You know what I mean? I guess he's kind of dependent on like Trump. You know, like, because if he wins, like, that's going to be... And Trump was kind of, like, making him all these offers. Like, I'm going to bring you in to help me destroy the Department of Education. Which is, like, right. What of all things? Like, or, like, to build, like, some kind of, like... as if, like, nationwide network of, like, underground super speed tunnels. Like, for, you know, like, the one in the Vegas Hyperloop thing.
Right,
it's
yeah,
like,
which he's tunnel pilled. He's,
I guess...
like...
Yeah, exactly.
Wants to create tunnels.
He's really into tunnels, it seems like. He was all about like the you know, the immortal power of like tunnels, walls, and wheels was a big emphasis of his. But anyway, yeah, like so I guess that's maybe why he sucks up to him so hard. But it is truly shocking. But anyway, so he didn't really want to like challenge Trump on anything, but he did kind of like, there was this weird moment where he sort of was trying to like push back on him a little bit about like climate change, where he was like, well, you know, I think it's probably, you know, a little bit better if we just kind of, you know, maybe sooner rather than later try to become sustainable in some way, because, you know, at a certain point it's like, you know, whether there's climate change or not, like it's kind of becomes hard to breathe or so, you know, like it was just kind of like really, you know, but yeah, Trump didn't really seem to give it too much credence. Trump was doing the thing. It's like, well, they used to say global warming, but you know, now they say climate change, so they were just lying the whole time, and now they're having to try to change their tune or whatever, you know.
Elon's like stuck in a bind because of like his business model kind of depends upon like climate change being real with like Tesla and some of his other things, and then but then he's like talking to Trump, who like is incentivized to talk shit. Like he kind of talks shit about electric cars, but always like adds a caveat, like, you know, but electric cars are fine, you know, but like maybe we don't need to like ban, you know, regular cars and stuff. And you know,
he was giving him like advice on like the design of the Teslas, and I feel like that must have like really like really gotten at Elon. Like he was like, why don't you put solar panels on the top of those things, you know, like what,
honestly, you know what, when I was in Cuba, I saw a tiny car that had fucking like a full panel of solar panels on it, and it was clearly an electric car. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where I couldn't see what the logo of it was, so I didn't know if it was European or Chinese. Definitely wasn't a Tesla, but it looked like, oh yeah, like that actually makes perfect sense, especially for like a lighter one of those like little smart cars, you know, that's like tiny. You probably could just like charge, especially if you're in a very sunny environment, you're parked outside. Like Tesla, what the fuck? Like get on. Like your Cybertruck is already like has a flat top.
Yeah, it's like a secondary source of power in addition to like the
right. But no, they have to like do it through a convoluted network where they're actually like probably getting half the energy from natural gas. Like you know, when you go to the charging station,
you know, where does the electricity come from? You know, like
it's not actually like that. Actually, would be a more ambitious thing to have
think,
cars
like, a big
that
thing is like
self-charge from
I don't
the
think
sun.
it's so much like environmentalists like buying Teslas. I mean, maybe some, but like I think a lot of it is like just people who don't want to pay for gas, or like who think Elon is like, I don't know what the hell, but I think
I'll tell you, in LA, it's like yuppies that are homeowners, because like that is really the only way that because I think you get a tax credit for buying one, and then you can set up like a plug in your driveway so that in that sense, you're getting very cheap, like affordable energy pumped into it, because it's like your utility bill, right? But like if you have to go to one of those like stations, it's like a gas station for electric, or one of those ones that's like outside of a store, like I think you definitely get charged like a premium, especially if you want to fill up quickly, right? Like you could pay for like the turbocharge, like, but you have to pay like $100 to like charge it in 10 minutes. Otherwise, you have to sit there for I don't know how long, but probably like an hour. So economically, like it's for those. I feel like anybody who rents or lives in an apartment or anything like that, like it doesn't make sense for you to buy a fucking Tesla. It's honestly the new like status symbol in LA. I think it's the most ubiquitous like fancy car that people drive around. Like it's definitely taken over from like Mercedes, BMW, Porsche. And I'd say just anecdotally, having driven a lot more this year, that like the role that, no offense to any BMW owners, but like honestly, they always had a reputation in LA as being like the biggest asshole drivers. Like a Beamer, like they're just like they drive like dicks. I don't know what it is about the BMW. But now I feel like that's been taken over by Tesla. And I don't know if it's like because they're dicks or because of like the kind of autopilot functions where they feel like they're floating around in like an automatic spaceship. And so like they don't have to pay as much attention or something, or if they're distracted by all the screens. But I feel like they drive like assholes. Like I'm not happy when I see a Tesla like in front of me doing weird stuff. And a Cybertruck is honestly distracting. Like it's kind of disturbing. It's like you wandering onto the set of RoboCop or some shit, like, but not in a cool way, It's just like a really dumb looking car. So, but he's definitely accomplished that as like, ooh, a Tesla is like, because it's like remember when like people bought Priuses and there was a little bit of that like smug, kind of like,
Yeah.
like I drive a Prius. Well, now you can do that, but also have like it's a sports car, like a BMW. So it's the worst of
Yeah.
both worlds. It's like the fake smug, I'm saving the world, mixed with like I have an epic car. You know, it's like an epic sports car.
Yeah,
that's
I
like
saw
a fucking
Tesla
computer.
with the license plate buy gas. It was
What?
like, you know, like the
What?
license plate said like buy gas. Like, so you're on the road, you see it, and you're like, oh, I'm owned because like I have to buy gas, and like this guy's an awesome
That's his
Tesla, and he
insult
doesn't
to
have
you.
to. Yeah.
Buy gas, loser.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a Tesla fan. This is not a Tesla owner
yeah.
safe space podcast.
Yeah, no, fuck
so,
Teslas.
yeah, but I don't know. Okay,
yeah,
so
and I didn't even
back
realize
to,
that like
you
one of
know.
the Tesla models is called like the SX like 3Y or whatever, like sexy or whatever, or S3
right,
XY.
right.
Like,
Cool.
Elon made a point to mention that as well, and Trump was like, like that's like
So epic.
yeah,
so epic.
freaking epic and cool because he doesn't want environmentalism to be painful. You know, it's like fun and cool and sexy.
No, you have to.
Anyway,
be able
yeah.
to have a
So back to
monopoly, but
thorium and
cold fusion.
repressed technology.
I mean, yeah, the suppressed technology. I mean, whatever the fuck UAPs are, could definitely be a suppressed technology. That'd be a more direct example of that. Though it could be gin always.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, there definitely are a lot of like elaborate hoaxes and stuff. It sounds like this one went a bit of a ways in terms of getting people like I don't know, to write a big Wired article about it. But this is a very long article. Unfortunately, I did not read before, so I can't quickly say that how realistic this sounds. But okay, there is a part here about SRI International. On a quiet back street near El Camino Real, a profusion of trees screens a sprawling complex of 60s-style buildings. SRI International is quintessentially Northern California, tasteful, verdant, low-key. Founded in 1946 to tap talent from nearby Stanford, its innovations include liquid crystal displays, optical data storage, acoustic modems, pen input computing, HDTV, artificial heart valves, and speech recognition software. All its research is sponsored by outside companies or government agencies, mostly seeking practical applications. So this journalist meets this hippie, Michael McCuber, from the Energy Research Center. Sounds like a Deadhead fan. He's English, but he's born in New Zealand. He talks about a cold fusion accident happened there. I guess a cold fusion cell exploded after building up excess gas pressure. He says, I was hit with fragments in my side in the vicinity of the liver. I still have pieces of glass in me that worked their way up to the surface. But damn, still, he was fortunate. The scientist standing next to him was killed. Jesus. Wow. So they, like an SRI scientist died working on cold fusion in an explosion. Shit. Damn. So this is when they were, I guess, looking into it. Did he achieve results? He did get 2 cells to generate heat. Subsequently, 1 cell at SRI generated 100 times the heat that could be explained by any conceivable chemical reaction. Overall, according to McCuber, the ratio of power out to power in, ranged from 1.05 to 1.3. Our new calorimeter. Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like there's probably a lot of things where it's like, okay, you can like spend a ton of money to create this thing that like may, especially if it's something where it's like based on like, oh, your current business model and like the current technology that we're using is like harming the environment or has some kind of negative consequence in the future, even though you're making like a ton of money out of it. You know, or even if it would like, you know, you make it more convenient for your customers, but they're still like currently buying whatever you're selling right now. And like, they're not like demanding or anything else. And your competitors don't have anything equivalent. I'm sure there's a lot of situations where someone would be like, no, I don't want to pay the overhead to like develop this new technology when like it doesn't actually benefit me in the immediate term at all. You know, or the benefits like any of the benefits of the long term would either just be, you know, maybe getting a slight edge over our competitors or like especially not like some kind of benefit to the world or to the environment or something like that. Or to
absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Well, I think that's a huge thing of like the kind of either catch and kill or like just don't develop kind of option in terms of keeping a monopoly and keeping things the way they are, because who wants, unless you can similarly profit off of a new technology that's going to be like an industry disruptor, like why would you want something to come that gives away something much cheaper for free, something that you charge money for, you know? And like, that's obviously a fundamental conflict of interest. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that if they had this thing that like could totally take over for probably like fossil fuels within, you know, let's say 2 decades or something, if they scaled it up, well, wait a minute, how much power do U.S. corporations, the U.S. government, the military exercise over the world because the world relies on fossil fuels and don't really have like a viable alternative, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why you even see, even though there have been strides in like solar panel infrastructure and stuff, I feel like that definitely gets like put on a back burner compared to like more Rube Goldberg type shit, like Elon's like, you know, Tesla infrastructure for like charging cars that are probably hooked up to like plants burning fossil fuels, you know, but like, oh, it makes a lot of people money and it's like a growth sector immediately for the economy, and we can still control it. Like some of the same stakeholders can get into that business and manage the scarcity. Whereas maybe something like this, you know, a safe thorium reactor that doesn't have nuclear waste, it's not dangerous, you can't use it for weapons building. Oh no, you know, and you could like spread it around and there's no, crucially, because it can't be used for weapons, what argument or right would the United States and other nuclear powers have for restricting it to other countries, right? Because that's always been the thing, right? About gatekeeping who can have nuclear weapons or who can have a nuclear program and who can't. Iran, ooh, no, we don't trust them. North Korea, no, they're too dangerous. Israel, yeah, no, sure, they can have it.
Right.
Pakistan, oops, so like, okay, yeah, I guess they have it. But then, like, all these other countries that could probably really benefit from maybe having, like, a thorium reactor. Like, you know, I think, like, Cuba, for example, like, doesn't have oil. They're an island. Like, they have chronic fuel shortages, and like it's expensive, you know, to get you know, I think they used to get more free oil from Venezuela, but now Venezuela has their own problems and stuff like that. Like a country like that, if they could get all their cars, have all their like old Ladas that still run, could have like fucking, you know, solar panels on top of them. Like solar panels could be adorned like all over the place, and then like a thorium reactor or something, right? Like, hey, you know what? Suddenly it doesn't matter there's a blockade, you know, for fuel from the United States because they can generate really cheap energy on their own. Same with any kind of country. Look at like Burkina Faso and Mali or Niger, which is actually, that's interesting too, because, you know, like Niger was a geopolitically important country, especially for France, because they have a huge supply of the world's uranium, which is so rare. And, you know, if you could, I mean, hopefully, actually, they'd be able to, because they get a horrible deal from the French. Like, so hopefully they could, like, at least make more money off of that. But even better, what if all the countries in that region could have a thorium reactor? And then it wouldn't all be gate-kept with, like, who has the oil contracts, what currency backs up, like, petrol. Oh, the dollar. So the dollar is so important. You know, some of these things, like, are monopoly over various, like, geopolitical things that, you know, give us that kind of come together to create like American imperial power might be undermined. So you can't even have like the conversation about it, right? Like you don't even want to get people hyped. That's, I think, sometimes what pisses me off about like a lot of the climate change discourse is not that there is not a problem. I agree that there is. However, like both the idea that like, oh, there's only one way to react to this and it's got to be some weird neoliberal like Davos version of how we react to it, and like it's going to end up with like austerity for everybody and like the rich will be protected. That's the vibe I get. So I don't like that aspect, but also not a focus. Like I get you don't want to get too caught on like technologism and like techno-utopianism of like, if we like, you know, your dad of like, yeah, they're going to create something in 5 years. It's just going to totally fix all this.
Right.
But maybe like a more measured and realistic thing of like, we already built prototypes for this fucking thorium shit back in the 60s. The main opposition to nuclear is that it creates a bunch of waste, it's dangerous, and you can't give it to everyone in the world because you can create nuclear weapons with it. So like thorium would solve all three of those things. and there's really no good excuse. So I feel like, even some of these, maybe the Gettys, maybe the Rockefeller Brothers Fund might want to get on this of like adding some thorium advocacy, or these Silicon Valley fucking John Galt motherfuckers for that matter, like Elon Musk. If you're so epic, why don't you build a fucking thorium reactor? Oh wait, you can't monopolize it and fucking reap super profits off of it and use it to like rule society. Like, so that's why you don't want to.
Yeah,
so it just that
also
kind of
like
sucks,
just not
but...
like Reddit and sci-fi enough for him. It's like too practical and isn't like this kind of wacky, stupid solution. It's amazing. Like obviously he has the resources to actually like kind of realize like some of these cockamamie ideas, but they're also like the whole tunnel thing. What about like a train? Like what about actually like high-speed rail? But Trump
even tried to bring up the trains, but then like Elon like diverted him into talking about tunnels.
Trump thought he was talking about underground trains, and he liked it because it was weird. He was like, it's so much safer than surface
Above
trains
ground.
because surface trains are like he was like, there's crazy people. Like what? Like I don't know. Like somehow he got in his head that like someone's gonna like strike the trains and like cause them to derail and like it's gonna cause a fire. Like I don't know. Yeah, like oil tankers.
I'm not sure what that was all about.
It's weird. Like it's kind of like the thing of like the wall has to be transparent or whatever. Like so you can see people on the other side of the wall. Remember this? Like
not exactly.
At some point, he became like fixated on the idea that the border wall that he wanted to build had to be transparent, right? Like.
Okay, yeah. Why?
I don't know. I think like maybe someone at some point said to him like, obviously you want to have transparency or something, like about the like the process of building the wall or something like that, or maybe you want to have visibility, like I don't know, something like that, like strategic,
or
like said some kind of term that he misunderstood.
Okay.
Like meaning, yeah, like good point. Like it should be see-through, and the person was just like, all right, I can't challenge him on this.
All right.
And he also
enough.
talked about having a solar wall, right? One of the things with the wall, this is what he said. There is a chance that we can do a solar wall. We have major companies looking at that. Look, there's no better place for solar than the Mexico border, the southern border. And there is a very good chance we can do a solar wall, which would actually look good. But there is a very good chance we could do a solar wall. One of the things with the wall is you need transparency. See, this is why I think, someone said to him transparency.
Like you can see people approaching, or something.
Yeah, you have to be able to see through it. In other words, if you can't see through that wall, so it could be a steel wall with openings. But you have to have openings because you have to see what's on the other side of the wall. And I'll give you an example. As horrible as it sounds, when they throw large sacks of drugs over, and if you have people on the other side of the wall, you don't see them, they hit you on the head with 60 pounds of stuff. It's over. As crazy as that sounds, you need transparency through the wall. But we have some incredible designs. So there you go.
I mean, it's funny. Yeah, it's
that
like, I guess like cameras would probably work, but okay. Yeah, he wants...
I mean, I feel like if the wall
whatever.
was doing its job, probably there wouldn't be people coming to just throw drugs over the wall and then
so
not
high.
retrieve them at all. And apparently this hyper militarized border wall that's going to stop all illegal immigration would not let these drug mules come down and retrieve the bag of drugs that someone threw over. Right? It doesn't make any sense, but I think that someone said we need transparency. About the finances or something, and he interpreted that to mean you gotta
sounds
you're
like
right.
probably what happened. Right.
So I think there was something like that with the surface trains, something like that happened. But anyway, so I don't see why can't we just have high speed rail like China does? That would be good.
Another
but
one of
for
those
some
things
reason
they
it has
can't
to be
even-
cars underground in a hype. It's stupid.
You know
what?
I-
Dumbass
I
things.
actually-
He sucks. I hate him so
Just-
much. I gotta.
this
honestly,
might-
It's not healthy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need to come back from this anger rage that I have at Elon because he's just one of the most infuriating people.
Yeah. Well, just as a little side note to that, in terms of a cutting edge tech, I did notice I read this very long and strange magazine profile in a tablet magazine of Palmer Luckey, the Oculus Rift creator, who I actually saw back when I was doing catering jobs in 2019. I worked at one of these sus galas at the Reagan Library in Simi Valley. And because this motherfucker is so recognizable, he literally dresses like, what's his name from Seinfeld in Jurassic Park. Like he wears like a tiki Hawaiian shirt and like cargo shorts and sandals and has like a goatee and a mullet. And like he wears, that's like his Silicon Valley uniform. But he was at this gala where like fucking James Mattis was there, Dov Zakheim from like the Bush administration, like all these, you know, defense industry lobbyists and stuff like that were like hobnobbing around. And I was like, you know, pouring water and shit at the tables, but trying to spy on people, you know. And I saw him just like wandering around in like his Hawaiian shirt, like talking with all these like generals and like defense people. So this article gets into like his pivot after getting fired from Facebook in 2016 for like sponsoring some like anti-Hillary billboards or something, which he's like still mad about. He got canceled, but then he just pivoted hard to like fucking like Peter Thiel, like defense technology, like startup stuff. And he named his company, I think it was like Anduril, or it's like named after Lord of the Rings, of course. But there was one part where he just like randomly starts talking about tunnels and subterranean warfare and gives like a huge like sus monologue about, he's like, I can't talk about specifics, but like everybody knows like subterranean warfare is like the warfare of the future. Like the US and the Soviets both worked on it. The Soviets built their own tunnel system. I'm not talking about like underground. I'm talking about the Earth's crust. If you can control the Earth's crust, like you truly have achieved like strategic dominance and like blah, blah, blah. Like he starts going on this insane monologue about like vast underground tunnel systems in the Earth's crust that are going to be built out by like the militaries. And then like it seems like he is designing some kind of weird militarized tunnel tech. And so when I hear Elon Musk going on a weird, like, you know, like spurgy rant about fucking underground tunnels, it does make me think that, I don't know, these guys love tunnels. Like they are all about, they love subterranean warfare and clearly think that it's going to be like a really relevant thing. And I guess it's relevant with Hamas right now. They have a tunnel system.
I guess
but
so, yeah.
It is curious. It also, it puts another check in the column for me kind of being sussed out by all of his Mars colonization shit as being like, whatever he's proposing for like a colony, like an eco-sustainable colony on Mars, might actually be a prototype for Earth after climate change gets too bad. Like if shit gets really bad, you could build bubble cities with biodomes. You could build deep crust. Like if it's too hot on the surface, you could build like incredibly deep, cavernous, like underground cities in like the Earth's crust. And, you know, so like, I feel like some of their, you know, sci-fi utopian imaginations are spinning right now with visions of tunnels. And I don't know. You know, it's a little spooky. It's a little spooky.
Yeah, they want like the Shaver mystery. They want to go down there and like hang out with the Darrows. Maybe it all has to do with like
Hollow
deep underground
Earth.
military bases and like reptoids.
Maybe they really, well, they've done enough DMT
underground.
that like their reptoid messengers have told them they need to like dig into the hollow earth and, you know, build a great civilization down there. Yeah, that's where the Fourth Reich will truly rise from. So yeah, I don't know about cold fusion. I'm up in the air about, but I'm thorium pilled. I think we need a thorium platform, like full thorium development. Let's put these sickos out of business once and for all with our clean thorium reactors. China, China's doing it already, but America we gotta. I don't want to hear anything more about how like people can't have plastic bags and like you can't drive a car, blah blah blah. I want thorium top of the list, and anybody that denies thorium is obviously an enemy, you know, and then should be I don't know, canceled or whatever, or not trusted. So yeah.
That man sitting on a little stool takes some money from my hand while his eyes take a walk all over you. Hands me 2 tickets, smiles and whispers good luck. Well, cuddle up, angel, cuddle up, my little dove, and we'll ride down, baby, into this tunnel of love. Well, I can feel a soft silk of your blouse and through them soft thrills in our little fun house. And the lights go out and it's just the three of us, yeah. You, me, and
have another power question here next from Ultra Butterfly, March 5th, 2022.
Yeah.
They ask, what's the deal with that Metcalf power station sniper attack? I remember this.
Yeah, I remember this. This was weird. Yeah, so
very
what
weird.
was that all about? I don't know. I guess the FBI decided that it wasn't terrorism, which I guess kind of makes sense because like there was no sort of like message or anything. There was no like way to know
motive
behind it. Like what they were trying to get at or what they wanted us to do in exchange for not having this happen again or something. I don't know.
Right. For those who don't remember what this was in the Bay Area in 2013, April 16th, in the town of Coyote, which is a little tiny town next to San Jose. And I guess in the middle of the night, let me just read, like somebody attacked a PG&E transmission substation with AK-47s and like blew it up. And to this day, like, it was an incredibly professional seeming job that, I mean, it didn't like create a lot of like, permanent damage, but it did, I think it caused $15 million worth of damage. Yeah, I remember everyone being spooked out because it was like, what the fuck? Like there was nobody claimed credit for it. There was no motive. It seemed professional. Maybe I'll read the time. The timeline is interesting because it kind of shows like, the competency of whoever did this. It says 12:58 a.m. AT&T fiber optic telecommunications cables were cut not far from U.S. Route 101, just outside South San Jose. 1:07 a.m. Some customers of Level 3 Communications, an internet service provider, lost service. Cables in its vault near the Metcalf substation were also cut. 1:31 a.m. A surveillance camera pointed along a chain-link fence around the substation recorded a streak of light that investigators from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office think was a signal from a waved flashlight. It was followed by the muzzle flash of rifles and sparks from bullets hitting the fence. 1:37. PG&E received an alarm from motion sensors at the substation, possibly from bullets grazing the fence. 1:41, Santa Clara Sheriff's Department received a 911 call about gunfire sent by an engineer at a nearby power plant that still had phone service. 1:45, the first bank of transformers, riddled with bullet holes and having leaked 52,000 U.S. gallons of oil, overheated, whereupon PG&E's control center about 90 miles north received an equipment failure alarm. 1:50, another apparent flashlight signal, caught on film, marked the end of the attack. More than 100 expended 7.62 millimeter cases, that's AK ammo, were later found at the site. 1:51, law enforcement officers arrived, but found everything quiet. Unable to get past the locked fence and seeing nothing suspicious, they left. And then at 3:15, a PG&E worker arrived to survey the damage. And so they just got away with it. Former chairman of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, John Wellinghoff, stated that military experts informed him that the assault looked like a, quote, professional job, noting that no fingerprints were discovered on the empty casings. While Wellinghoff described the attack as the most significant incident of domestic terrorism involving the grid that has ever occurred, a spokesman for the FBI stated they did not believe a terrorist organization was responsible. Henry Waxman said the attack was an unprecedented and sophisticated attack on an electric grid substation with military-style weapons. Communications were disrupted. The attack inflicted substantial damage. It took weeks to replace the damaged parts. Under slightly different conditions, there could have been serious power outages or worse. I mean, it didn't cause, like, long-term power outages, but they had to divert a bunch of power. And that is, this is kind of the heart of Silicon Valley, which is like an interesting place to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So this led to a lot of like discourse about like the vulnerability of the grid and like how easy it would be to like blow out power stations with small little shooter teams like this, and cause like major disruptions in a metropolitan area, right? Mm-hmm. But what do we think? Like, I don't think there's really been like updates on this. I don't think they've ever had like suspects
they haven't found
or anything.
The guy, and there's like a bounty firm and everything, but they never found him.
Or I think guys, because there was somebody signaling with a flashlight and then other people shooting.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so it was at least maybe 2 or 3 people were doing
why?
this.
Yeah, it's quite a mystery. Like, I guess, kind of underscored the vulnerability, like the practical vulnerability of the grid. Like, as opposed to like a cyber attack, but
what if there was
no
a
one
new,
really
like,
did lose power, but I guess it kind of
No.
showed that this is possible. I don't know. I don't really know.
Could have
what
been a
people were
great
getting
guerrilla
at.
marketing company for like a security startup of like
yeah, exactly. That's
ex-military
kind of
guys
like where my
being
mind went too. Like where they try, like there was that notion that it was done by an insider, right? That kind of came out, right?
Oh,
like,
a PG&E insider?
What exactly was the quote? Yeah, in October 2015, there was a report from the DHS that it may have been an insider. A top DHS official revealed on Wednesday that an infamous 2013 sniper attack on a California energy grid substation may have been committed by someone on the inside. The attack, which nearly took out power in parts of Silicon Valley, has been called the most significant incidence of domestic terrorism involving the grid that has ever occurred by the nation's top electrical utility regulator. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe a PG&E insider or a hired contractor, but the DHS will not comment on an ongoing investigation.
Hired contractors where I would put my money because like that would
Yeah.
definitely create a growth opportunity for them to contract with like state agencies, city agencies, companies, etc. to be like, I can blah blah blah. I did find a somebody FOIA requested. I don't know if this was the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services records of this incident. This is on governmentaddict.org, and they did get it back. A fair amount of it is redacted, right, from the California State Threat Assessment Center bulletin, critical infrastructure and key resources. I mean, I guess it's like they're talking about what critical, vulnerable infrastructure is, so I guess maybe all these blackouts could kind of make sense, but there's like, I don't know. Also, the blackouts are like about the narrative of what happened itself. So maybe they're discussing like sensitive security things. I don't know. Oh, actually, it does say here from an intelligence report, an incident similar to the one in April 2013 occurred in April 2009 when unknown persons cut 10 Verizon underground cables at 4 locations in South San Jose. The outage affected emergency response networks, internet connections, phone services, and ATMs in Santa Clara, San Benito, and Santa Cruz counties. And then this is interesting, attempt to sabotage undersea fiber optic cable in Egypt. Ooh. In March 2013, the Egyptian Navy captured 3 as-yet unidentified men who were cutting the SMW-4 underwater fiber optic cable at a cable landing in Alexandria. According to pictures provided by naval officials, the men were equipped with scuba equipment and possibly hand tools for cutting the cable's insulation. The SM4W cable connects internet users in Europe, Africa, and Asia, stretching from France to Malaysia through the Mediterranean, the Arabian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. The damaged cable caused a drop in internet speed in Egypt. A map of the affected cable is below, but it is all redacted. Interesting. So March 2013. I wonder if that coincided with like Modi taking over or Modi getting overthrown by Sisi. I forget the exact timeline.
You mean Morsi?
Oh, sorry, Morsi. Yeah, not Modi. Mohammed Morsi.
That would have been around the right time, but I don't know about the month. When did they say when it happened month-wise?
Like March 26th, 2013.
It's around then, but not quite exactly at the same time.
There's a map here of cable landing points in California. Morro Bay, San Luis Obispo, Grover Beach, Manchester, Coos Bay, Bandon, Nadana Beach. I've never heard of any of these like points, basically, along the California coast, besides San Luis Obispo. But, yeah, interesting. Not much more. Then there's another report that is just entirely blacked out. Oh, interesting. On June 2012, unidentified subjects cut 2 AT&T underground fiber optic cables in Del Mar, California. The attack led to an internet, cable television, and landline phone service disruption across San Diego County. According to AT&T, the perpetrators had knowledge of the system and intended to disrupt service rather than steal equipment. Yep, then they say again in April 2009 in San Jose. Yeah, so there's been there were 3 of these incidents between, I guess, 2009 and 2013 that were all, the difference with this one was the AK-47s shooting directly at the the transformers. Other than that, though, I don't know. I have no idea. Very strange. I mean, the FBI came out in 2014 and said not a terrorist attack, right?
Yeah.
This is published on September 11th, 2014. It did not meet the FBI's definition of terrorism. The attack was most likely the work of a disgruntled former employee with a rifle, according to the FBI, because no terrorist group claimed credit and there was no evidence of a political or social agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's odd.
Yeah, very mysterious. Who knows? I guess you just, the grid is vulnerable, so.
Yeah.
Or at least it was during these years.
I have a present. It is the present. You have to learn to find it within you. If you can learn to love it, you just might like it. You can live without it. There's a million open windows. I'm passing these open windows. Passing these open windows. There is plenty to criticize. It gets so easy to narrow these eyes. But these eyes will stay wide. I will stay young, young and dumb inside. I have just begun to forget my lines. If you could save yourself, you could save us all. Go on living, prove us wrong. Your leap of faith could be a well-timed smile. Survival never goes out of style. I have a message. Save your generation. We're killing each other by sleeping in. Then again, begin again. This one can be one. One can become two. Two can pick and choose. You could be the first. If you could save yourself, you could save us all. Go on, live and prove us wrong. Your leap of faith could be a well-timed smile. Survival never goes out of style. You have to learn to learn from your mistakes. You can't afford to lose a little face. The things you break, some can't be replaced. A simple rule: every day be sure you wake. If you could save yourself, you could save us all. Go on, live and prove us wrong. The leap of faith could be a well-timed smile. Survival never goes out of style. Survival never goes out of style.
Gumcube asks on March 16th, 2022, was the 2000s emo/scene wave a psyop to promote self-harm, wallowing and navel-gazing individualism to teens? Yeah, I feel like it kind of goes back further than that in a way, because like emo is sort of like post-punk. I mean, emo in terms of its not like a philosophy or like lyrical themes is like is kind of like a you know, similar to what you can see like in like goth, you know, sort of,
or
like
grunge for that matter, which had very like
yeah, so
lyrics.
It's definitely the effect, like what was described as definitely the effect of it, right? It's kind of like apolitical, right? It's definitely doesn't have the same political energy that you would associate with like punk. But on the other hand, like as we talked about a lot, and we did a whole episode on punk, right? Like punk is also sus, and like the politics of punk were often like kind of fascist and not good. So popular music is kind of like just pumped through with psyops, period. But certainly the effect was to, it definitely didn't promote like political consciousness, the sort of emo thing.
In certain, I'd say in the 2000s, you had some emo people kind of went in a little bit, oftentimes a kind of like anarchist direction. I want to say Brand New definitely had some like anarchist or
no,
Against
I was like
Me,
a Brand
another
New
one.
fan, and
Maybe I think
I repudiate them now.
Sorry.
I know that Jesse, was canceled, and he, was a predator. But at the time, I was a Brand New fan, and they definitely were not like a political band.
Sorry, I think I was talking about Against Me. I always get them mixed up.
I actually didn't
but
know,
Against Me definitely had a vibe, and even Connor, Bright Eyes, like he got a little bit political in the mid-2000s.
He did. Yeah, he eventually did. That was like, but that was kind of like when he kind of shed being emo too, right?
That's true.
Like,
he wanted to get beyond his emo
really
identity.
Emo.
Yeah, it had a kind of a country, kind of indie country kind of thing going on.
Right.
And actually, I mean, emo really does go back to like the early 90s. And, some people might not know this, but this is definitely a mark against, in the Is It Sus kind of check that a lot of the early like bands that were considered emo came out of the Washington, D.C. hardcore scene, right? And was kind of like post-hardcore.
Yeah, Fugazi.
Fugazi especially. And, I think it's always interesting that, like the Washington,
and also
D.C.
Chapel Hill. Don't forget Chapel Hill.
Oh, North Carolina?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, there's that line from,
Wait,
I know you
out
were
of
never
Chapel
into
Hill?
Cursive, but they were, Tim Casher was also on a lot of Bright Eyes songs, shouted out in a lot of Bright Eyes songs. He had that song Burst and Bloom where he he did a lot of like, he was also kind of like meta, kind of like self-deprecatingly meta. And there's that one Cursive song, Burst and Bloom, where he says they've got a like good fan base, they've got integrity, they've got a DC sound, shudder to think, Fugazi or Chapel Hill around the early 90s.
Okay.
It was kind of calling back that old emo, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my first encounter with the older emo, I think, was through like friends of like my older sister who would like, I kind of like take some of her like mixtapes when she was like away at college. And I think the first band, I still like this band a lot, but they were reasonably popular still when I was in high school, but Jawbreaker, who were, they were from like Berkeley. They were from the East Bay, basically. But I think they formed a band in New York. And then they had kind of a moment in the 90s. They got signed by Geffen and toured with Nirvana and Green Day, but like their album Dear You did not do that well, and so they broke up. But then Schwarzenbach, I think was the lead singer, he formed Jets to Brazil that, kind of kept, I forget when they broke up, but I feel like right around Y2K. And, 2003 was when they broke up. That sounds about right. They were more like emo sounding, whereas I don't know, like Jawbreaker had a little more of a raw, like a downer, like pop punk kind of sarcastic kind of thing going on. I liked a lot of their stuff, but that was considered like emo in like the kind of early to mid 90s. And then Jawbreaker recorded an album at Fantasy Studios in Berkeley, California. No. And they had a Geffen connection. But anyways, like I think once we get into the 2000s, though, like emo definitely like metastasized into what probably most people think about it like now, which is like there's a heavy crossover, with like emo and what was called scene, right? That was another category in the mid 2000s that kind of people don't talk about in that way anymore.
Yeah.
Scene was a
Scene,
big
like
deal.
The swoop hair, right?
Yeah,
that
the
was
swoop hair, like
thing.
first wave of people on social media, MySpace was like, I remember MySpace was like a hub of like scene kids,
Yeah,
and like that
there
kind of
was
like
a little bit of
taking bathroom
crossover there,
selfies.
but that was kind of like Blood Brothers. Remember that band?
Oh yeah. A lot of my friends loved Blood Brothers in high school.
Yeah.
That was very like screamo, but like less poppy than like My Chemical Romance or
like
The
scene
Used.
stuff
and,
was like kind of like moshing or like whatever. Yeah, and like the studded
and bled
belts
over more
and
with
things
like
that.
hardcore.
Yeah,
studded belts.
Not that there wasn't
and,
that in like Long Island emo, but
Yeah. And so I remember like I felt like that the scene stuff got really popular with people that were like in your grade, like people that were just like 2 years younger than me got hit way more with like the scene thing. Where I mean, it was like around, but like
I never
and
knew
I mean, there were
anyone who was like. Well, I guess
Really?
I don't know.
I
Well,
knew
like
people
not
were
with the
like that.
stereotype. I guess. Well, I guess I did. I retract that.
I had
It
friends
was-
from high school that definitely were like scene people for a while.
I guess
or they,
I guess I did.
they'd call
too.
themselves emo. Like I had a friend.
Exactly.
Who
Like no
just
one was ever
"I'm
like
a fucking emo."
self-identifying as scene or really as emo.
It's a little like hip. Scene had a little bit of a negative connotation, like hipster, in that
Yeah.
like a scene person would never call themselves scene. A hipster would never call themselves hipster. It's only used as like an othering, like
Yeah,
insult,
emo was kind of
right?
like that too. Yeah, like honestly, like people weren't like all about calling themselves emo.
Right.
Either. Yeah.
Jimmy Eat World. If we want to talk about like susness, lest we forget that Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah, Jimmy
some
Eat
of their
World,
songs
right.
were in Chad's World, right?
Oh my god, I
Right.
did forget that, but okay.
Oh yeah, no, they're in
Yeah.
Chad's World. Yeah, like before they had the middle, like their big hit. They were one of the bands that was featured in Chad's World, which kind of like. I don't know, like the preoccupation with like being sad, like is interesting. Like, remember Dashboard Confessional? That
Oh,
dude
of
was
course.
emo.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
what about
yeah,
what about something corporate? Because they're from your neck of the woods. I guess they're from Orange County, but
They're SoCal. There's
you
definitely a different vibe with SoCal, like punk and emo than
But do you
NorCal.
remember them? Like,
I remember the name, but I never listened to them.
yeah, their song Constantine. That's beyond a psyop. That's like I don't know, like like psychological. That's just like true like psychological warfare. That's just like the song
what was it
itself is.
about?
It's like an interminably long song about. Just
9
like
minutes.
some girl or something, like emotions, but it just goes on forever and it's incredibly repetitive. And like people like loved it and were just moved in body and soul by it. Like I'm sure there's listeners out there who know what I'm talking about, who know the song Constantine by Something Corporate, which is just like this. And people are probably mad at me too, because there are probably people out there honestly who are mad at me for saying this, but
I can't imagine all the people that you know and the places that you go. When the lights are turned down low, and I don't understand all the things you've seen, but I'm slipping in between.
it's like
I'm listening
really,
to it right now. It's
okay.
so corny.
yeah,
It's like
but
theater kid shit.
But yeah, right. Well, like, because there was definitely emo kid theater kid crossover for sure, and I feel like I knew.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
knew a lot
yeah.
of like theater kids like love this. Yeah. And they shout out Jimmy Eat World in that song.
Okay, yeah. I also remember, we forget now, but like Fallout Boy was so fucking big in the 2000s, and I just like hated
well, he's definitely
them.
big.
I hated them.
Yeah. I always hated Fall Out Boy. They were always way too cringe, even for me. Like when I was a teenager.
They were the original Simpsons
yeah.
adults.
Yeah.
We named our thing after a Simpsons thing. Isn't that relatable? And then,
Epic.
wait, actually, I think who's the Pete Wentz, right? Like the guy
Right,
who's like
he was
always
like
on
a
MTV.
front man, but he was the bassist.
He's sus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the front man, but he's a bassist, and he wasn't like the lead singer, but he was definitely like the favorite of like the MTV media complex to like. And then I remember finding out years later that like there is something like sus. Pete Wentz comes from like sus weird scenes like
Really?
lineage. I forget. Let me see exactly what it was, but he is a Chicago boy. They are a Chicago band actually. And what was his like strange Peter Lewis Kingston Wentz III. Oh my God, this is what it get. Okay, yeah, get this. So his parents are Dale Wentz, née Lewis. I guess that's his mom's name is Dale. Okay, a high school admissions counselor, and Pete Wentz II, an attorney. Wentz is of Irish and German descent on his father's side and Afro-Jamaican descent on his mother's side. He has a younger sister, Hillary, and a younger brother, Andrew. His maternal grandfather, Arthur Winston Lewis, served as the U.S. ambassador to Sierra Leone. Arthur Winston Lewis's cousin was General Colin Powell. Wentz's parents met in the 1970s while campaigning for Joe Biden's senatorial run. So they were involved in like politics stuff, basically. And I wonder when the ambassador that pops up in Colin Powell's like book, but Arthur Winston Lewis, I want to check actually when he was the U.S. ambassador to Sierra Leone, because that could vary in terms of like how fucking sus. Like if it was during the late 80s, early 90s, I'm gonna like freak out. Oh my God. Wow. So this is Arthur Lewis from Wilmette. Oh, there's some more grandfather information here. Dear uncle to many nieces and nephews and a cousin of Colin Powell. Ambassador Lewis was born in New York City. He went to Dartmouth, was in World War II. He was a career Foreign Service officer who served in diplomatic missions in Eastern Europe and Africa before retiring in 1987. He also played a significant role in expanding opportunities for racial and ethnic minorities in the American Diplomatic Corps. In 1966, Lewis joined the United States Information Agency, a Cold War-era diplomatic agency intended to promote American culture and understanding abroad. With the support of the Ford Foundation in 1967, Lewis created an expanded minority recruitment program for USIA, targeting African American, Latino, and Native Americans enrolled in universities around the nation. The program brought students to Washington, D.C. for expanded training in history, language, and international affairs as preparation for successfully completing the Foreign Service entrance exam. Lewis began his own Foreign Service career in 1969 when he was assigned by USIA to the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, Romania. While there, he promoted American music as a forum for engaging the Romanian people in Western culture. When the American jazz rock band Blood, Sweat, and Tears visited Romania in 1970, Romanian officials sought to shut down a performance. Lewis successfully negotiated with the band and communist officials to allow the concert tour to continue. But Lewis's primary foreign policy interests lay in Africa. From 1972 to 74, Lewis served as cultural affairs officer at the U.S. Embassy in Lusaka, Zambia. In 1974, he was sent to Ethiopia. I wonder if you knew Josh Harris's dad. And in 1977, Lewis was sent to Lagos, Nigeria. I wonder if he knew Mulbug's parents, where he continued his work for USIA until being appointed as the agency's Director of African Affairs in 1979. Oh my God, this is interesting. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan nominated Arthur Lewis as U.S. Ambassador to Sierra Leone. He served at the embassy in Freetown until his retirement in 1986. He continued to promote international political and economic development in Africa after his retirement from diplomatic service. Oh, holy shit. Okay, you ready for this? He has been a senior consultant for the Nord Resources Corporation, which operated mining interest in Sierra Leone from 1983
Wow.
to 1995.
There we go.
Oh my God, dude. Like literally blood diamond fucking...
Huh.
Nord Resources Corp. Actually, that name doesn't sound familiar to me, but believe me, 1983 to 19... Also, remember Shabtai Kalmanovich and all the the Russian gangsters / like KGB Mossad triple agents and shit, and Rabbi Ronald Greenwald like all swirling around Sierra Leone during this time, right? That would have been probably like 84 to like the tail end of this guy being the ambassador for Reagan, and then like sticking around hopefully for the next like 9 years through the like multiple civil wars and the Liberia shit, and then clearly the establishment of blood diamond operations in the border regions. So that's Pete Wentz's grandfather, everybody. Interesting, right? And then his band that like is so fucking lame, fine, I guess they're okay or whatever, but like I don't know, it's just like his band gets to be like on MTV fucking constantly.
Supporter of Invisible Children Inc. And
no, my fucking wait,
Pete
Wentz?
The Nation. Yeah, Pete Wentz.
Oh my God.
And they filmed the music video for the song I'm Like a Lawyer, Me and You, I guess in Uganda.
Oh my God, it's too good. Yeah, actually, parapolitical Pete Wentz is actually wow. His company, Clandestine Industries, distributed books and clothing to blah blah blah. But I don't know where. Like he just distributed. It's just a merch company, but it's called Clandestine Industries. Cool. Also, you know that's interesting because as far as I know, Fall Out Boy was like a secular, like emo band, right? Like a secular emo pop hardcore band. But I've been like I've been clued into this. Like I wasn't really aware of it at the time, but there's a very parallel like popular, you know, phenomenon of like Christian hardcore music at the same time that all this shit was popular. And it was like this weird, I guess, like entryist strategy by Christians to be like, oh, young kids like love this like screamo like pop punk music. Like let's do that, but everyone's like a super Christian, like evangelical super Christian.
I definitely
type
remember
of
like some of that stuff. Like, I mean, one band that like I kind of liked was Me Without You, which I think was like a kind of a Christian band. I maybe moved away from that later on, But they definitely had like some, but it was like understated. It wasn't like it was like praise him like righteous, like you're the only, it wasn't like all about Jesus or anything. Like it was like kind of like and I think like it was weird. Like there was also like a little bit of like Islamic themes in like some of their lyrics, especially later on. And I think there was something where like the lead singer was like the Weiss brothers, who were in this band, they're of Jewish descent, and their songs use Jewish, Muslim, and Christian imagery to explore spiritual themes. The two were raised in a Sufi Muslim household. Their mother had converted from the Episcopal Church, and their father from Judaism.
What was the name of this band?
Me Without You.
I feel
one
like,
word, Me Without You.
maybe, I feel like my GF might have mentioned this band because she knows way more about this, but like that was a band where they weren't like super hardcore Christian, but they were like coded enough to be sold in the Christian store.
Yes.
But like they had some kind of heavier themes that like otherwise like Christian parents like wouldn't let their kids like buy the record, but like she was able to buy it because they sold it at the Christian store.
Yeah.
So like it was obviously approved. Okay, I'm watching this like Uganda video right now. I'm like a lawyer with the way I'm always trying to get you off, parentheses, me and you. They flew to Uganda to do like Invisible Children outreach and then film this music video.
Yeah.
I hate this band is so bad.
They're the ones who are like, down, down, I hated that song. It's
like
so cringe.
I can't understand what take the stud out of your lip. Like I can't understand what you're saying. You're going do 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 blah blah blah. Like they just suck.
Yeah, they're going down in an earlier round, and sugar, we're going down swinging. I'll be your number one with a bullet. Loaded God complex, cock it and pull it. Cool.
Cock it and pull it. Yeah,
cool.
yeah. These are just like random shots of children like hacking away at a mountain, like mining for minerals. Like,
no.
Oh my God, this is that. So I don't know what. So despite not being a super Christian band, like they were doing ops with like his name from Invisible Children.
Killed, it was that time.
You're right.
It wasn't about that. It was about
it was that time. Well,
famous,
I'm sure his grandfather
etc.
was proud that he was getting involved in African politics like that. In diplomatic efforts. They participated in an event organized by Invisible Children called Displace Me. That's so funny. In which 67,000 activists throughout the U.S. slept in the streets in makeshift cardboard villages, hoping to raise awareness about those displaced by the Ugandan government. Yeah, I think I remember that from our Coney episode that was like a precursor event to the big Coney thing was like everyone like slept outside in like cardboard villages for a night.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Right. Yeah. That was like a whole thing. And they did their own video about that too. But Fall Out Boy, they recently did something that was like they did like an updated version of like We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel, and it was like so
you're
awful.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Oh my God. I heard about it, but I didn't.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Was it the lyric?
It wasn't like it wasn't in chronological order like the original. Like, I mean, I don't know how strictly chronological it is, but there's still like kind of a sense of a progression that like this sort of basically goes in order. But theirs is just like all over the place. And it was so like what struck me about it was that it was so like, things that you would never consider to be significant, like in retrospect. It was like incredibly like presentist and like over focus on things that were like kind of in the zeitgeist now. Like I remember him mentioning Stranger Things, and I was like, no one's gonna remember Stranger Things in like 2 years. No one remembers it now.
It's so washed. Like that's the thing. Things move fast. Captain Planet, Arab Spring, LA riots, Rodney King, deep fakes, earthquakes, Iceland volcano, Oklahoma City bomb, Kurt Cobain, Pokemon, Tiger Woods, MySpace, Monsanto GMOs. Okay,
great. The mention of Captain Planet, like who the fuck cares for Captain Planet? Like
I know, right?
It's not relevant. Yeah.
Now he's doing the early 2010s because he said like Michael Jackson dies, Twilight, Fukushima, but then Kim Jong-un, he's just naming things too. Like there was a little more wordplay in the Billy Joel song, even though it's like super corny. But like this is just like hashtag like list of things. Why did they do
like
this?
are you seriously mentioning Iron Man? Like no one cares. Like literally, that's the thing. Like it would be like if the original one was like, oh, like Fraggle Rock, like Beetlejuice, like the Batman movie with Michael Keaton, like like stuff like that. It's like no one fucking cares. You know.
And why are they doing from like 1990 to like, I guess it's like their lifetime, but
it's
they're
like
doing from like
since the
1990
last
to
one.
now.
It's like since the
all right.
last one came out. Yeah.
Oh my
I guess
God,
they
it
actually
sucks.
did mention the Batman movie with Michael Keaton. I guess that
Oh,
was
of course they
slightly
did,
after
yeah.
the original one, but
Well, these guys
you
are
know.
elder. No, they're probably
Yeah.
like Gen X, borderline Gen Xers, I would imagine.
Yeah. They rhymed
but-
George Floyd with Metroid.
Cool.
Yeah, great.
All right. All right. Sandy Hook, Columbine, Sander, and Jameer. Okay. ISIS, LeBron James, Shinzo Abe blown away. What more
Yeah.
do I have to say? Yeah, I see Metroid here. Okay. Anyways, like, yeah. But I mean, emo.
The best
like-
lyric is when they said World Trade Second Plane. What else do I have? To say?
That's
that
funny.
was their last.
Yeah, I mean, was it a psyop to promote self-harm, wallowing, and navel-gazing and individualism to teens? Or it's an interesting question. I guess there's other ways maybe you could flip it around, like saying, did they sell this kind of music because it's like catnip to kids that already are kind of feeling sad? You know what I mean? Like, that feel alienated, and they would have figured that out in the 90s with like Nirvana and grunge. And also kind of with like gangster rap too, that all this kind of angry, sad,
Yeah.
negative like music with like dealing with negative emotions was clearly like a gold mine that the music industry like tapped into in the 90s. And they got a lot out of their like sad boys, you know, and sad girls.
It's
Millions
kind of like
and millions
that,
of records were sold.
That Eminem, like, well, that's my thing is that like there is definitely like that like angst and like the youthful energy like can be definitely directed towards like we're talking about like college protests like in sport that definitely
Right.
that definitely can be directed towards like meaningful things. Like that, that energy can be directed like anywhere. You know, it can be directed internally, like it become like self-hatred, or it can become anger. It reminds me, I was gonna say that Eminem song, like "White America," where he's like,
Yeah.
you know, they're all marching behind, and like, but like, what are they marching for? They're just marching for like being like punks, like being like, you know,
Misunderstood.
you know, yeah, exactly, like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, being bad
like,
boys. They just want to
yeah,
be bad boys,
being,
like
Bart
middle
Simpson
fingers
type
up.
bad boys, yeah, like doing the sort of evil Calvin P thing.
Right. I do think that's kind of where it all like led. It didn't really lead much of anywhere in the 90s and the 2000s, but like it was that kind of like, we're not going to listen to you, like kind of, and it just kind of ends there of like, you know, it's a very like adolescent rebellion against like parental
I do
authority
remember
vibes.
there was some like political or like, you know, like vaguely political music that was popular, like NoFX. Do you remember
yeah,
them?
NoFX is a little bit. Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
a fan of NoFX.
They had that
like,
album,
and then,
The War on Errorism, that you
right.
know was like
and
a thing.
lest we forget,
Yeah.
the biggest sleeper hit of like 2004 was American Idiot, where
Right,
Green Day
yeah.
finally went political.
Cool,
like,
yeah.
and you know, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, that kind
really
of did
loops
kick up
back
an era."
around to theater kids, because I remember there was like a Broadway musical made out of American Idiot that kind of tried
There
to
sure
have
was.
like, a plot line or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they got a little bit political, but then in the Obama era, you know, just like rock bands, like those type of emo bands, like started to die down, and then like, but then emo lived on through like SoundCloud rap and just like sad boy rap in general. Like you could make it argue.
I was thinking. I remember on the show I tried to bring him up before, but I forgot what his name was. I was thinking of Hobo Johnson. Have you ever heard of Hobo Johnson?
No, I don't think so.
His like kind of like he kind of reminds me a little bit of like Connor Oberst, like sort of like in his vocal affect, like kind of. He does like sad, like kind of like emo rap. Yeah, and I guess he was like a viral, someone who like became popular off the internet. Right, emo rap is listed as his genre on Wikipedia.
Like Lil Peep, yeah. Like that kind of, even like XXIX, like as like wild and crazy as he, like as kind of like aggressive as he could be. It definitely had that kind of like emo screamo kind of like influence on it, and that was also like by that point you had like millennial and like Zoomer rappers that kind of like grew up with like 2000s emo and like scene music and shit like that, and we're kind of like incorporating some of it, and a lot of these other bands that there was that kind of like bridge era where like Paramore and Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, like Panic at the Disco as well,
Oh, yeah,
were
My
also kind of
Chemical
big.
Romance. Yeah,
they were still big going into the 2010s, but then they all kind of like switched to like synth pop.
Panic at
stuff,
the
and kind of
Disco,
went
that
like,
was like they became big like just as it was like becoming like all right, like no more. of
they
this
were
emo
late.
shit.
Yeah, they were late in the game,
Yeah.
exactly. And then, eventually became like, their song became like the Pete Buttigieg anthem.
Oh, wow.
Like the High Hopes song,
Oh.
And then, yeah, I think like with the other rock bands, like a lot of them went kind of more electronic and
Yeah.
it pivoted away from like hard emo. Though I do remember like as going back to maybe like 2015 or something, maybe 2016, that again the Echo venue in Echo Park here in LA would have these like, or the Echo Plex, sorry, which is like the dance club, would have these like emo nights, and it was always like young, like 18 to 22-year-olds would like line up around the block to go to like emo night and dance to like My Chemical Romance and like The Used and shit. I just always thought it was like, but it wasn't
The
that
Used.
long.
I never listened to them.
Yeah, it
but
was
I
like
had
they
friends
were
who were into them. Yeah.
right. They were nostalgically celebrating like a style of music that was like barely a decade stale. Like they were already like having a kind of nostalgia trip where everyone could like dress up in their like scene outfits and stuff. And probably some like younger millennials as well were like kind of getting into that like nostalgia trip. But that thing is still kind of going strong, but it definitely like it's like a nostalgia thing now rather than, even though elements of emo I think bled into all kinds of other genres, like, and survived the death of like capital E emo, right? And even that like there was there was like so much stuff in the 90s that was like big that was like emo-ish, even though they weren't like emo bands, because everyone was so like sad and fucked up like in the 90s, you know what I mean? Like every band was like broken and disturbed, like, and just like so sad. Like that was like a real marketing thing in the 90s. And so I do wonder about like, I don't know, these Silk Toppers running like Viacom and all these other media companies. Like, was there something specific they wanted to promote, or was this like the easiest way to like sell a certain type of music to like a young population that already was like increasingly kind of like atomized and felt often like alien, especially during like adolescence, like feels very alienated and suffers with like low self-esteem and stuff. And, I mean, that's like, there was a phenomenon like got pretty big in the 90s. I feel like both like anorexia, bulimia, and like cutting became like
cutting
things.
was a real thing. Yeah.
Cutting was a real thing.
Yeah. Which is like, really, it was a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And like there was often like discussion of it on like MTV and stuff like that's honestly I think how I would probably first encountered that like these things actually exist, right? Is that like people are like sad, like teen suicide, like oh my god. And then there is a lot of music that's dealing in like really sad kind of like subject matter, or like really focusing on being damaged and stuff like that, which is kind of funny because the 90s felt like such an inconsequential light decade. Like if there's any decade where people are just going to chill out and have fun in in the United States, it'd be like the 90s up through like Y2K. But at the same time, paradoxically, a lot of the most popular types of music that were really broadcast on MTV and the radio were this like extremely like sad kind of shit, like depressing shit. I mean, certainly in the first half of the 90s with like the grunge wave. But even the late 90s, like rap metal, like all kinds of rap was like, I mean, it's like kids in the suburbs like love DMX, and like DMX is like, it's dark and hell is hot. Like, he's like, it's not like happy music, you know what I mean? But, or, Puddle of Mud or like Stained or POD, who are like Christians, but you couldn't tell. All these people were kind of like, I saw an interview with Trent Reznor at like Woodstock 94 and on one of these like meme pages, and the MTV girl is like, what do you see yourself doing like in like 25 years from now? Could you see yourself like playing a festival like this? And he was like, no, I'm gonna be dead. It's just like, and it's just like, and everyone like laughed, and he's like, I don't plan on like, nothing against the old timers, I love Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, but I don't plan on living that long, and I wouldn't want to be one of those fucking guys like up there, like I'm gonna die. And it's just like, okay, bro, like, he's like kind of fucking around, but I felt like that was like a cool flex in like 1994, just be like, I'm gonna die, because like life doesn't mean anything. But like, of course Trent Reznor is gonna play future Woodstock. Like, he'll be playing into his 80s. I bet he has Oscars now, but it was the vibe back then. So I don't know, like, why, like, I've always harped on my Nirvana, like, coming out right at like the end of the Cold War vibe of like, never mind, man, like nothing means anything, like, was they had a spiritual like synchronicity kind of thing go. I'm not saying like, definitely not like Kurt Cobain like thought about it that way, but did Geffen think about it that way? I don't know, like, for this whole type of music that like we're gonna absorb some of the ennui of like the post Cold War end of history 90s and like sell it back to these kids or something. I don't know. Not anyways. I guess we can have to stop there. But yeah,
I'm gonna listen to some My Chemical Romance soon. I got that nostalgia bug from this conversation.
All right, you got to do it.
Yeah,
you got to do it. Yeah. Oh my God, it's still playing on loop. Wait. YouTube, Killed MTV, SpongeBob, Golden State Killer caught, Michael Jordan 45, Woodstock 99, Keaton Batman. I can't take it anymore.
I can't take
okay,
it. I
I'm
can't take it
shutting
anymore.
it down. We're shutting it down.
New version of it really goes to show like how creatively bankrupt like our entire period of history is. Like
yeah. Oh my God! Pete Wentz's production company is called Bart Skull Films, and he's a minority owner of Phoenix Rising FC, a U.S. League championship soccer team.
Yeah, Phoenix Rising.
All right, yeah. Well, that's our thoughts on emo for now. I'm sure there's probably more to get to, but we'll leave it.
We have a lot.
We'll leave it there for now. Thank you to everybody who asked those questions back in 2022. We will get to let's see, who did we bump? TD Wash and Young Howler. We're going to get to you at the top next time. But until then, dear listeners, stay vigilant.
Peace.
Captain Planet, Arab Spring, LA riots, Rodney King, deep fakes, earthquakes, Iceland volcano, Oklahoma City bomb, Kurt Cobain, Pokemon, Tiger Woods, MySpace, Monsanto, GMOs. Michael Jackson dies, nuclear accident, Fukushima, Japan, Crimean Peninsula, Cambridge Analytica, Kim Jong-un, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world was turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we're trying to fight it. More war in Afghanistan, Cubs go all the way again. Obama, Spielberg, explosion, Lebanon. John bombing, Boston Marathon, balloon boy, boron, terror, QAnon. Trump gets impeached twice, polar bears got no ice, fire fest, Black Parade, Michael Phelps, Y2K, Boris Johnson, Brexit, Kanye West and Taylor Swift, Stranger Things, Tiger King, Ever Given, Suez. We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we're trying to fight. Sandy Hook, Columbine, Sandra Bland and Tammy Rice, ISIS, LeBron James, Shinzo Abe blown away, Meghan Markle, George Floyd, Burj Khalifa, Metroid, Fermi, Paradox, Venus and Serena. Michael Jordan 23, YouTube killed MTV, SpongeBob, Golden State Killer got caught. Michael Jordan 45, Woodstock 99, Keaton, Batman, Bush v. Gore. I can't take it anymore. We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we're trying to fight it. Elon Musk, Kaepernick, Texas failed electric grid, Jeff Bezos, climate change, white rhino goes extinct, Great Pacific garbage,